back again with Judy and Leslie. We're talking about the holiday stresses and how one can get control of the holidays. I always say one thing, in the business I'm in, January's coming, and every January you see the crashes, the credit card bills, the governments are saying we're not collecting what we are, your taxes have to go up, on and on and on and on we go. And it seems like a lot of people get into a frenzy, and then it's like, great, December 25th, and then sure enough, December 26th, and life starts as normal, or as they used to say in the Catholic Church, the first day in ordinary time. How does one start to get control of their finances during this time?
One of the things Leslie and I were talking about, we came up with an idea of, for a spending plan, is figuring out how much you're going to be spending on groceries, gifts, household decorations for the holidays, or whatever else you need, and then making a spending plan and getting envelopes and taking the money out of the bank, out of your checking account right from the beginning, so you're not charging, and putting the same amount of money, or that amount of money
Right.
in the envelope, and then when you finish that one particular envelope, then you really need to stop spending because you've run out of money. So having a plan really works, and that way, by the time the holidays roll around, you're feeling better about yourself. You're not going to start January with a hangover or a financial hangover. And it seems to we thought it was a really good idea of how to get started.
Really neat.
Budget.
Yeah, you can label each envelope, whether
Yeah.
it's for Susie, Jimmy, Christmas meal, church function, or whatever it is you're donating to. And when you go to the store, you take the envelope that belongs to, and when you're done spending, you're done. And that's it. And then you really can feel good about the new year because you have no credit card debt based on, meals passed, gifts given, and you go into the new year really with a smile on your face and really maybe an uplifted spirit and not like a burden on your shoulder. So I thought that was a really good idea. And thinking about that, you can move your goals based on that for the following year. You can now take that spending plan and maybe start setting aside money for the following year, knowing that this is what it cost you.
Interesting point. Is it worth, and I've known people to do this, they go out the day after Christmas and they start buying ahead for the next year. They get the ornaments at half price, what we would call, at least years ago, sundry gifts, things like colognes, aftershaves, ties, all those things get immediately, the bottom of the market just falls out. And if you have the room, store them and save them until the next year. It almost seems like, okay, that's another one. It's never going to come again until it does. I might offer that. Of course, I've never been a participant of that, but I've often thought about it.
I think that's a good idea, maybe for decorations and
Sure.
things like that. But as far as gifts, I don't think it's a good idea to start buying gifts a year in advance, personally. I know when my kids were younger, I would buy so much for them. There were many times when the holidays would roll around and I'd be overwhelmed with my own purchases and have to put some back and save them for their birthdays that were coming up. Because I think if you start early and you think you're saving money, you're not really. You're really spending more.
Yeah,
so
for
I'm
certain.
not in favor of that.
Yeah.
It might work for some people.
And I guess, another thing, we talk about charity, and we talk about giving to charity, and giving, of course, to people who may not have the resources. That's kindness. That's not necessarily charitable, at least in the classical sense. But in talking to you guys, you believe this is a great part of what one should do as well in order to feel relaxed or at peace or empowered during the holidays.
I really feel that it's really important to look at all the things you have, and I mean things, stuff, and realize that you probably have more than you will ever need, and your children will have more than they will ever need. And I think it's good to go through all the things you have first and take those gently used items and bring them to your local churches or temples. However, a lot of the local schools, the elementary schools, the middle schools, the high schools where you live will also have all kinds of charity drives throughout the year where they're collecting food for the local food banks or the food pantries, for dinners. They might even be collecting for the troops. There's always the coats they're collecting, the toys for tots that they're collecting, even sports equipment that others don't have. And not only will you have cleaner closets, but you will feel a lot better knowing that you gave something that's just been sitting around and has had no use.
Well, yeah, and that's an interesting point, because every December, you know, we, in my office here, we do a year end, and the thing for everyone, and we say, clean out your closets, give things away, because depending on where you're at, depending on what state you're in, it's 28, 30, 32, 35 cents on the dollar of the market value of that item. And not only that, but this is really something very easy to do. You're helping yourself, and you are helping someone else. You know, someone getting started out, you know, they don't have a toaster oven. Well, they go and they pick up yours for $3, which has been sitting in the bottom of the cupboard for 20 years. And I'll tell you, I get the biggest case of Joe Besser from my clients. You mean I have to? And what happens is, and they don't do it, and they pay too much in taxes, and I remind them of that. It's like, you know, but I'm still paying too much. It's like, give the property away. But, you know, it's not rocket science.
It's a feeling of, I think it's a cleansing feeling to clean out your closets too.
Yeah.
It's just better energy, because if you, objects that no longer serve you prevent fortune from coming in your way. I always say that, you know, for coming your way, not your way. And it's just, for me, it's cleanliness, cleansing. I like that cleansing.
I also think that by doing that, you can really look back on the past year. Everyone always focuses on the new year.
Mm-hmm.
You can really look back on the past year to see what accomplishments you've had. And remember, accomplishments come in all sizes and shapes.
All packages.
You know, they don't have to be big accomplishments. It might be something very small that was really big to you. And you could look back on the past year as you're cleaning out to start a new year and recognize the things you have done and were able to do. And then you can set new goals for the new year. And not these big time resolutions that nobody can ever keep, and then you become defeated, so to speak. You know, after the new year, you know, it's always the rush to the gym kind of thing, that I'm going to lose the 25 pounds. Well, maybe lose 3 pounds. Like Judy and I talk about, take baby steps, you know, setting those goals so that, you know, every month or every couple of months you start seeing the new year come together. You know, and bringing this back to charity that we're talking about, we were talking about older children. As they get older, 14 and older, what can you do with your older children? So we were talking about having them donate to their favorite charities.
They can learn that, you know, they might have an affinity for animals, or maybe they had a loved one that even a grandmother, or it could be a mother, a sister, anyone that had cancer, and something that's near and dear to their heart. You can teach them that they can make a donation, you know, or the
sports
environment.
for disabled kids, for
Sports,
certain.
yes, exactly. Special Olympics, anything that, you know, you think that they could relate to. Teach them about that, have that conversation with them, and they can give a dollar amount.
And in our closing moments, and that's an excellent point, and this is probably something which, you know, needs something in and of itself. People during the holidays get in those gatherings, and they're sitting across the table from somebody whom, you know, they kind of would rather avoid 364 days of the year, maybe the 365th day. How best to deal with that? We've got like 30 seconds. First, Judy.
Well, I think you just have to put the past behind you, and if there's someone that, you know, just in the spirit of the holiday and in the spirit of forgiveness, just, you know, put your best foot forward.
Remember,
and have some.
remember
It's an attitude of gratitude. I think it goes back to the gratitude. You know, it's.
Leslie, you agree?
Yeah, I agree, and you're all around the holiday table for the same thing, same reason. You're all there to celebrate what's new and be grateful for what you have. So you set aside your differences and you move forward.
Boy, if we can bottle that, you know, what a wonderful world it would be. We're out of time, and it's never, ever, ever enough time with my very good friends Judy Heft and Leslie Montanile, and I'm so grateful. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so
coming
much.
Once again. We'll be right back with Denise Pence here on Connecticut Morning. What a show we're having. Glad you're really making the most of it, because you're here watching us. See you in a bit.